So if you are using your own language or some other language, I'm not sure. You need to find a way to convert the output. Okay. Also, sometimes your output is not three-dimensional data, intentionally made three-dimensional data. For example, I have the only histogram. So you can make the three-dimensional histogram data, right? So why don't you think about that? And second thing is the video that you are going to take throughout the project. Okay, it doesn't matter whether that's for your meeting or the Google Drive screenshot, anything, but the less than 5 minutes. So not 10 minutes. 10 minutes is too long. Okay, less than 5 minutes. The video, then that is the second required output. Third one is the poster file. Okay, so I'm thinking the mini workshop, the final day. So we can set up the daytime because it's the evening class. Okay, so we are going to follow the workshop like the faculty research day. Is there anyone who attended the faculty research day? Some of the students. Okay, so we'd like to have the similar one. We can print out the poster. So 2 by 3 feet. The poster we can ask the department print out. Then we can post outside or the inside. Then will be judged. Also, each team will present the final like your proposal. The time. At that time, I'm thinking the daytime, the separate time, and we can advertise and then ask the student or the faculty to join this. Okay, then if possible, I'd like to prepare the refreshment, but too many. Usually I have around the 10 students. Is there anyone who did the other project with such a refreshment? I usually have such a demonstration with the refreshment. I'm going to ask the department whether department can support that. Okay? And these are the required one. And definitely it's a writing up. Okay? So there are a lot of the output you need to do. But it will be even first time for the 3D printer or the video or something such a workshop. So we will try for this. That's actually the required. So that's that are needed for your data analytics also. So okay, so can start.
So our project is to predict the preference of political parties using Twitter string. So introduction. So because a lot of data mining project was based on the social media data. So that's like Facebook, Flickr, and Twitter. So why we choose Twitter? Because Twitter, I think, is the most frequently used social tools. So we can communicate with each other. Compared to Facebook, I think it's faster when you post your tweets compared to post your status on Facebook. And also, Twitter is a place that you can share your attitudes. So I think from there we can get more information than Facebook, regarding to our project. Our project objective is that usually 4 years we will have the president election campaign. So at that time we have to get votes for the parties we supported. So at that time we need to know the supporting rate depends on different parties. So usually we will use like polls. We will conduct a poll, so get the result. But the polls have drawbacks. It's like the process of the polls take time. It's like I have to count all the polls, then process and count for the votes. So it takes time. Also, the reliability will be reduced. Depends on the time goes. It's like if the polls process will take 1 week, maybe after 1 week I support to the other parties. So the reliability of the polls is also questionable. So at our project, we want to use the Twitter because Twitter is the everybody maybe use, and we can get the result as fast as we can. So that's why we use Twitter. And the problem statement. We want to figure out whether we can use Twitter string, find a pattern that we can predict the preference of.
So which means the input is a tweet.
That data set, Twitter sets, yeah.
So when you predict the
Mhm.
either Democratic or Republican, what is the input of your testing? Is it one tweet or user?
No, the tweets.
The tweets during one period of time.
A
It's
tweet.
like I will collect all the Twitter within 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
So I will mining this.
Yeah, so after training, so are you going to predict the Republican or the Democratic for each user or the
No,
for
for
each,
each state.
For
each state?
Yeah,
Oh,
Oh,
location.
so you are going to collect the
Data.
tweet
Yeah.
for
location.
And
Alright.
each
Yeah,
tweet
yeah.
has
Okay.
Using in
Yeah.
mathematical way, we will have a data set which is a Twitter message data set, and each message will have location information, and the tweet message will be divided into different phrases, and we can use the settlement approach to imply this phrase to positive, negative, or neutral attitude, and so we can classify these tweets, so we can predict the preference of the attitude. So we will use the API which Twitter provided to get the data. So we will use the keywords like House of Cards, or maybe Republican, directly Republican, or democracy, something like this. And the tweet output will be JSON format. It's a binary format, so we can import to our mining system, so we can mine. And also we will use the location information.
So you are going to collect the tweet
Mm-hmm.
that include the House of Cards or
Yeah.
the hashtag related
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
House of
Yeah,
Cards,
related political
Yeah.
phrase, yeah.
then classify
Mm-hmm.
into what? How do you train?
Okay, the training part is
Okay.
expert,
Okay.
we will explain later.
And
So this is the data set, for example, like they have the content the user tweets, like are you saying yes is Frank and the word, and also it has location, like Stuart, Florida, and basically we will use these two parts, and maybe we can use another one like the device to send this tweet is using iPhone or something ID, user ID. Yeah, the location part.
Like Roger mentioned, we try to classify the political preference of Twitter users. So we will use sentiment analysis to measure the preference of users toward the both political parties. To know, for example, if we can say these tweets have a positive have a positive comment or feedback on Democratic Party, so we can say that these people will like vote for democracy, and the way around for political. So sentiment analysis basically is using the natural language to identify the emotions toward products or people or anything or entities in general. So for example, the entities in our project will be political, will be democratic and Republican, and the natural language processing will be applied on the tweets. So we use actually two features: tweet content and the tweets and the location. So in the first, the main flow chart of the project is first we're gonna extract the data using the API, the Python API. Then we're gonna pre-process the data. For example, because there are tweets that talks about different things other than the political party, so we don't need this kind of tweets. Then we're gonna apply sentiment analysis to check the preference of each of the Twitter users based on the states. Then we will process the output into hopefully a 3D graph. So the flow chart of the sentiment analysis process basically it contains three main parts. The first one is the tokenization. The second one is the feature extraction, and the third one, which is the important thing, is the classification. The first process is basically dividing the sentence or the tweet into a subset of words, so we can evaluate each word with it, which will have maybe a positive or negative impact. The second one is to try to extract features from the tweet. For example, so we can, if somebody says that if somebody talks about the Democratic Party in a good way, so we can assume or predict that this user will vote for, will at least have a preference for this party. And the third one is to classify the tweet into positive or negative tweets. Because if we can know that this user like favorite the Republican, so we can say that this user will vote for Republican or predict, and the other way around. So for our sentiment analysis approach, we're going to use naive-Bayes classifier. So in this simple equations, we're trying to predict the class, which is the positive or negative of the tweet, by applying the Bayes rule. So in this, the class could be is positive or negative, where the F could be is the tweets.
So for each state.
Yes. So basically, we're gonna first filter out all the tweets based on location. Okay. So we will.
So you are going to separately apply the tweet from the Connecticut.
Yes.
Then
We'll
trade.
try to do. Yes.
Whether this is a
We will
Republican
try
or
together. Then when we get output, we classify depends on the location.
depends on the location. Okay.
I think we need to maybe think about this point.
Yeah, I
more,
think
yeah.
that is not
Yeah.
very clear.
Yeah.
So what will be trained? And how you are going to use the trained data for testing. So what is the input? Input is just one tweet?
No,
or
the
the
set of
tweet,
tweets.
set of tweet from the each state,
I think-
or the certain amount of time, the time window. So you need to clarify the what will be trained and how you are going to test.
Right.
Okay.
The basic idea, Professor, is to extract tweets for about 3 weeks. We already started doing that. Then, I think the best way is to filter out the tweets based on states, then apply the sentiment analysis to get the preference. So the evaluation is an important in every research. So actually, we were lucky to find a ground truth that was provided from one of the literature survey that they manually classified a set of tweets into positive or negative. So we can apply the naive-Bayes our algorithm later on that to see how much is it accurate.
Negative or positive for what?
Sentiment.
Sentiment?
Yeah, for the tweet, for
Does
example.
it related to the Republican?
No,
or
no, no, no,
Democratic?
no, because there is no ground truth for that.
So-
For the political.
So my suggestion is that if you are going to train and testing by the state, for example, you can use the preference, the political preference by the state we have,
Yes.
like the last presidential campaign. So why don't you compare with your result with the state?
Oh,
So you
yes,
have the
yes,
50,
Yeah.
the case, then you will see how much accurate.
I think so.
Okay?
Yeah.
Then think about how you are going to use the output of such a data. What is the value of the analyzing the house of card,
For
the
example,
tweet information? Like for example, it can be used for the something, the political event or something. So why don't you think about how you can utilize?
and the first idea of visualizing, Professor, is to use like a histogram to represent the preference.
Or also you can show the preference,
Yeah.
the using Google Maps, something like that. Okay?
For the evaluation matrix, since the first idea was to try to evaluate the accuracy of the sentiment analysis.
Also, another thing is that you try to find, you have the political preference data. So, for example, last presidential campaign or the last the government. So every year we have the election, the November. Okay. So you can compare the different time window or different day of the week, different the tweet. Which one is the best match with the ground truth?
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
So many
Yeah.
times.
So if you collect the morning time data, that's mostly the housewife. So you can use the what situation, what condition can represent the correct political preference in case of the house of cards. then the political event, they can use such a time window or condition for the advertisement or something like that, right? Okay.
So
So-
we're gonna use the valuation matrix. The last thing is our friend gonna
Why don't
continue
you
with that.
little bit speed up?
Sure. As we have mentioned before, we can collect the data from, we can use the content and the location, and then after the processing data, the output gonna be a 3D map based on the preferences of the users to the different party, and that is gonna be a histogram show, 3D histogram show, and in the specific state, and that's really.
Okay, thank you. And any questions, suggestion? So team number 2 can be put up. Okay. So meanwhile, so if you already did, why don't you give your comment to the I think the penguin, so you can collect your comment. Why don't you move to the right? Okay, so I already did my comment. I think that that's important after analyze how much valuable your analyzed data is. If there's nothing, so you don't have to do that. Okay, you need to find. It's the same thing in the research. I spend a lot of time. It's a good result, but nobody cares. So there's no value or benefit of your research. You need to find the why, the analyzed approach is important. The next team number 2, I think that you can do it this way. Okay.
100%.
Hey, Jamban.
Alright,
Screen.
so I think the fit to page. I think
Yeah, you can go to the full screen in order to the 100%.
fit to page.
Yes. See?
Go ahead. So, you can go ahead.
Okay. So our project is also Twitter related. We are doing analysis on Twitter social media database data. We have already collected the data. It's NFL related data. We use Twitter API streaming API, and we filter the data using NFL keyword. We have 17 gigs of data. It's 4.4 million tweets. So the problem we have is that the size of the data is very huge, and many of them are actually noise, tweets tweeted or posted by spammers. And because the data size is the data set size is too big, we need to minimize it by eliminate the spammers. This will faster the process, the processing data task for us. Processing the data now takes hours actually. So we are assuming that spammers are sometimes retweeting for certain users. I mean, if user X tweet, a spammer would retweet his tweets instantly. So this is our main target, is that to process the data and minimize it. Instead of having like the shape on the left network, we would like it to be like the one on the right. So as we said, the data set is very huge. The algorithms we are using, the techniques we are trying to use are frequent pattern recognition algorithms, like a priori algorithm or fast growth algorithm.
You don't decide yet.
We decided on the frequent, a priori algorithm actually.
It's okay. You don't have to stick on the classifier. You can test the different. It is generally true, so you don't know until you got the result.
Okay. So, using this frequent pattern identifier, we would like to see who of the users has like 100% or strong relationship with other users, assuming that they will be spammers. We are planning to evaluate the results.
So what is the I cannot understand the goal of the research. What's the target after analyzing the NFL data? What do you want to get?
Actually, you wanna get the event detection.
Detection what?
Event detection.
Event detection. What is the event in this case?
NFL game.
I think the first thing is the event. Name itself is a little bit general. I think that you need to specify what is an event, what you are going to detect. Okay? Then you can find the proper classifier or data mining algorithm. Like for example, the team one, whether it's a Republican or the Democratic by state from the tweet data. It's clear problem. Okay? Then you can the training, then apply the new incoming data, something like that. Like here, you got the huge amount of data for NFL that is by NFL. Then what you are going to do? Detect the event. That's a little bit general. Okay, so you need to specify the problem.
Actually, we are trying to identify spammers using data
Identify
mining.
spammer.
Yeah.
What does that mean, spammer?
Spammer, the people who retweet, who create noise, unwanted tweets.
I
So-
see. That is, I'm not the big fan of the Twitter. I never used it actually. What is the?
Okay, there are some people.
Can
If
you
I-
give us the example?
Okay, there are some people, for example, if I'm following you, everything you post on Twitter, I just retweet.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some systems doing that. Some people who seek popularity on Twitter, they are subscribed to these systems. So whatever you tweet, they retweet. They just follow you and retweet. And we assume that these spammers participated in having inflating the data set size. So what we're planning to do is to find those spammers using frequent pattern recognition algorithm. By finding the strong relationship, we can assume these are spammers. After doing that, we are assuming that we'll have at least 20% decrease in the size of the data set because we have 38% retweet messages. So we'll try to compare the result with an earlier result research we did to find the events, to see if this approach has manipulated the data in a way that it decreases its size but doesn't affect the outcome.
I think the one possible way of analyzing your such a tweet data, including the NFL, is kind of, for example, if you can find something, if we want to use such a the frequent pattern mining to the tweet data, so why don't you try to analyze the kind of retweet pattern or tweet or retweet pattern between the user, whether that have the relationship with something, the event that you mentioned. Event means, for example, something, the change in the community or the hot issue. So whether such a, I'm not sure exactly how can you define that. But if you want to use the frequent item mining, so you need to decide what is the item. So in the Walmart it's clear, item is item. But in the Twitter, what can be the item? It's a user, whether it's a tweet or something message, and so you need to determine the such item and try to find is there any relationship of them, okay? In terms of the such a event detection, okay? Or I think that might be the one, but still not clear for me. That you guys need to clarify the objective or target to be analyzed. Okay.
Okay.
And also spammer is also interesting topic to detect the identified spammer.
So the background truth is clear to us because we know which event occurred in these particular dates. And thank you.
Okay. Any suggestion or question? Okay, so team number 3. So you can send the comment for the team 2 to the right. The next, the team 3. I think it's a Super Bowl something.
Yes, Super Bowl money.
You submit only the PPT5, why don't you submit the proposal? Also, this is a good chance to take the video. You can use the cell phone to record the presentation proposal, right? You can ask your friend.
We are doing some mining based on the Super Bowl.
You change the title. No, I got the data mining with the Twitter.
Yeah.
The old one?
Yes.
You can send it again.
Okay. So what we're trying to do is we want to look at the tweets about the Super Bowl and see how people are reacting to at any given time, so we can try to see key events. These events might be the commercials, based on how people are reacting to the commercials or how they're reacting to certain plays. And then also, since we're already kind of going through users and we're doing sentimental analysis, we can look into trying to classify them as to what the team is that they identify with.
Do you have any idea to measure, quantify the reaction in Twitter? Because you are going to, I think that you said, why don't you go to the previous one? You said how the audience is reacting.
Yes.
Which means it's very important to measure
Right.
such a reacting. So do you have an idea in your proposal?
Yeah, if we can look at the common words, hopefully there are some that really stick out that we can easily say that these are positive and negative.
Also, if you are expertise, you can decide that this word, but it's not easy.
Right.
So during the training, you can find the frequent word, the frequent pattern of the such that can differentiate the reacting of the specific event or something like that. So that's also a very important task to do such a sentimental analysis. Many of the sentimental analysis is based on the prior knowledge. Okay, that's another the task of the data mining.
So some of the we're looking at using R. We've already identified a few of the libraries that we would be using: text mining and Twitter for R, and WordCloud as well. So if you guys have used an API before, this is just the general thing for setting up Twitter with R via Twitter R. So it's just something that we'll be able to easily work with. So hopefully that will not get in the way of processing the data.
So for mining these tweeters, we are looking for the hashtag Super Bowl and mining all the Super Bowl tweeters. After that, we create like a text document with all these tweeters, and you have to clean like some unnecessary words that they are not good for us. And then we have to look for the frequent words. Like we just use the word advertise with the low frequency of 5 and the support of 30%. Then we have this matrix with all the words that are in relation with the word advertising.
That's just a frequent word from the tweet that include the NFL, a Super Bowl.
Yes.
You don't specify the time window. Okay. So we don't know whether that are directly related to the event, Super Bowl event or not.
And with this matrix, we can apply like the clustering algorithm.
So for the analysis first,
do the blasting. For blasting, we have a lot of algorithms. The most popular used is the k-means. Because this software when you are programming k-means
It's the
algorithm.
same thing. As I mentioned, is it the preliminary result or just testing the R package? So you should have something, the target that you pursue. What do you expect? Your expectation after analyzing the data? Not just apply the k-means or whatever. Okay.
We are applying the k-means like the tweeters. They have the word advertising. Like we first filter for the advertising tweeters, then we apply the clustering for the trying.
But as a pre-processing, it's okay. But that should not be the last target of your analyzing data. Okay. So clarify define the most important part. What you wanna do in this project. Okay. Then you can use the pre-processing and the k-mean or the R programming. So it can be very okay.
And this is result our diagram. You can see in the Super Bowl we have a lot of branches like this. And this is center form. This is the result of first class two, and we see Super Bowl, team, bad, gas, and then we use the new keyword means border to reduce the cluster, and then we got a new result. And this is two components explained at 56% of the point vulnerability, and the average Sinhausen West is 0.72. And last week we work about topical modeling. We choose 6 topics. The first is Super Bowl, and second is probably commercial or time. Like all about what.
Okay. So my suggestion is I'm not clear. So it's the same thing the previous team. So this is a proposal. Okay. This time you present I want to do this one. You don't know the solution yet. That's true. Okay, that is possible. But you need to clarify. I want to do this one in this project using this approach, and I like to evaluate it this way. It's like that. That is the core of this proposal. But I cannot find such a thing. So why don't you? So you start a very good topic, the Super Bowl, and I think I cannot remember exactly what Mohammed proposed, phase 1, phase 2. I think that one is much better than this. So why don't you keep such a topic, okay? That's the reason why the other paper vote mostly. So why don't you try to keep on that topic and try to address selection problem. So that's my suggestion, okay? Okay. Any suggestion or question? Okay, so team number 4, you can give the comment to the team 5. Regarding to the programming, as I said, I suggest to use the R programming, but if you want to use the package or the library, so you can use. Also, this is a team project. Please work together. That's usually happen. Even when you join any company or the research, so please work together and have a meeting and keep record of that. The next team number 5, Apple.
No. You are not.
Okay. We turn on. Okay, so can we? Okay, go ahead.
Our project is about prediction of heart diseases by using data mining techniques. Basically, today, healthcare domain has started keeping the information about the patients. And heart disease is the leading cause of death for people in every state, every country. So we have decided to use the information database of the healthcare domains to predict the heart diseases. So the healthcare domains usually saves the information of the patient, and it is a data, but it has no use because it's just a virtual data, and it doesn't predict anything. So for the prediction purpose, we should have some knowledge regarding that database. So for that purpose, we'll need to do some data mining techniques on that information. So basically, we are using the data set from UCI machine learning repository. It contains 76 attributes, but we are just using 14 attributes, and we are applying some data mining techniques.
How
on
big
that.
is data is?
I think around the 300 megabytes, just a sample of those data.
The total, how many patient information were the how many cases?
I guess, as I remember, if that's correct, it's around the 300, I guess.
300 cases only?
Yeah.
It's just a sample.
Yeah, just a
So
sample.
can
Yeah.
you get the full data set? I think that to do that you need to contact,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
why don't
because
you?
we got that sample from the website.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's,
so why don't you try to get the full data set?
Oh, yeah.
So if you need to contact them, so at the time, so if you need my help, so or sometimes they restrict to distribute such a data only for the professor or the researcher who are available. So why don't you try to contact us and find a way to get the sample data may not enough for your final implementation.
So further it will explain that.
Okay, for this particular project, we proposed a variant of the traditional k-means algorithm. We named the weighted k-means clustering algorithm. The reason we came up with this algorithm is in the real world, those attributes, those 40 attributes we used may not, weight the same in the real world in diagnosing the heart disease. Just give you an example, like blood pressure or cholesterol, reading maybe have a close relation with heart disease rather than the age. So we weight each attributes and using k-means clustering algorithm to hopefully to generate a better result. Yeah. So basically, that's the main idea of this, behind this algorithm we propose.
For evaluation plan, as you know, any data mining technique, we need to have some evaluation techniques. For our evaluation plan, we assume that we don't have ground truth. So in that case, we need to use unsupervised methods. One of the most famous method is the cell coefficient measure. Actually, this measure used to measure how clusters are separated and how compact are they. Actually, this method includes 4 steps. One of them to compute the average distance between any object in a specific cluster with the other objects in the same cluster, and this used to measure how compact is the cluster itself. Also, other step to compute the average distance between any object and other clusters, and this is used to measure how separated are the clusters. The fourth one, we need to compute the value of the Selhawk coefficient value. Then we finally we find the average of the S values in order to see how accurate that cluster. In conclusion, like actually we choose this one, like this topic, because like most of the healthcare centers, they collect a huge amount of data and they don't use it for like detection such disease. They usually use it for like managing like patients and accounting purposes and other stuff. That's why like this is the main motivation to use the data mining techniques.
My suggestion is in this kind of research, even though you 100% correct the algorithm or classification or clustering, if the medical doctor do not believe your result, you cannot use that. So try to focus on how you can help the medical doctor or patient for using the result of your algorithm or the research. Like you can give something clue between the attribute like the gender or the age or family history to the heart disease, something like that, or the cholesterol and the related to this one. Then the key part is how to nicely show the result to the medical doctor. They are not expertise and the general patient, they do not know much about that. Then you can think about the nice visualization. Okay, they can help. So your goal is not find exactly the truth to decide whether this is cancer. That's their job. But as a result of such a medical data analysis, you can add computer-aided system. You can help such expertise. That's the different the strategy when you are dealing with this kind of research. Even though you are correct 99%, because of 1% you cannot. Actually, your algorithm cannot be used in medical data. Instead, you can focus on to help the next team prepare. So that's the one thing you can keep your mind. So, okay?
Okay.
The next team 5. If you have a chance to visit the IBM or the big company, so nowadays they provide something intelligent to them, like by analyzing the sentiment, using the sentimental analysis or such a relationship, they try to show something nice, the interface. Okay? So why don't you think about for the medical analysis? I think medical data analysis, the visualization is very important. Let's go ahead.
Our project is sentiment analysis for product reviews. Like most of the online e-commerce companies will be having the option to view review for each and every product when the customer buys it. So we are collecting the reviews of one single product and analyzing the sentiment sentiment of that review, that product, sentiment of that product, like whether it is a positive review or a negative review, or whether the review of a user is neutral. So the main overview of a project is like the performance of each product can be deduced by analyzing the reviews which we do by using sentiment analysis. So we can categorize the product, whether the user is liking the product more or user is neutral, like he is okay with the performance of the product, or whether there is a negative review about the product. And these are the various pre-processing techniques which we are doing before from the raw data. So there are some like case conversions, lower all characters appearing in the comments. Like the reviews will be random. Like they don't write as if it is a proper English or in paragraph. They just write whatever they feel about the product. So we are removing the punctuations which they have used in the review. And stemming is normally.
Which program language are you thinking about for the implementation? Yes, when you decide the program language, some of the package like the R programming or the Weka, I think that they provide something text mining. So you don't have to spend a lot of time for such a pre-processing. Or there might be existing the software that processes such the pre-processing, the natural language processing. Okay.
This is the raw reviews of one particular product which we get from the website, or like any of single product. So after removing all the punctuation and extra other details from the review, we'll be the pre-processed data looks like this.
So we are going to implement two different classification algorithms. They are the Navy bias and the SVM. So basically what we're doing is like you don't have to read through the entire set of reviews to get to know about a particular product. So it is really tedious. You won't know, like the comments will be mixed, right? You'll have positive, negative. You won't be able to find the overall comment. So for that only we are mainly focusing this project on. So it involves two stages, that is the annotation and classification, and then process improvement and testing the results. So we train the data in such a way that we make them into three different bags. Like in the first bag, you would have all the positive set of data or words, and in the second bag you'll have the negative set of data, and the third would be like neutral. It's like, it just rejects, it doesn't use anything with that. So as we know, the Navy bias is one of the most simplest and the easiest classification algorithm, and SVM is one of the famous algorithm for text mining, especially for text mining, and it is also like more accurate. The evaluation plan would be like to find out how accurate we train the data and how the model is being reflected on the test data. We would find the F measures, recall, precision, and the accuracy of these two classification algorithms.
Okay, so in case of the sentimental analysis, so I don't know how I never did such a research with data mining technique. So I think that you have the reason of using such a thing, but to do that, you should have you should define what is the problem in sentimental analysis. What should be the train? What should be testing after training? Okay. For example, whether am I going to collect just a frequent word in the positive data set, or so you need to define detail such a process. Otherwise, it's just apply the existing algorithm to the well-known problem, so nothing you can learn. Okay.
We're also using features like unigrams, we convert the word into n-grams and defining the positive and the negative.
That can be considered during the evaluation, unigram or the n-gram, when you consider the number of the token, what is the accuracy, so you can find. But anyway, that should be defined in your problem.
Oh.
Yeah,
so what you are going to
actually the reviews usually has a bag or text such as great maybe appears 3 times, and good appears 2 times, and some related not good, perfect, and we need to train data, and that is suitable to classify the real data.
Okay, so thank you. And next, thing number 6.
Yes.
So we are running out of time. So so if you are in a hurry going back home, you can leave just quietly. Okay. So next week, don't forget to bring your laptop. Okay. We are going to have the first exercise one. That's yours, right?
No.
Yes.
I think that is yours. But you need to change it.
هذا الريدر المكفى هنا.
I think that you extend your desktop. So it should be duplicate. Anyone who knows?
I don't like having.
It's extended.
I don't like having.
You don't have to extend.
I don't like having.
So just drag it off to the side.
Where's the display setting? So why don't you go to the display setting? Where's the display setting?
Go to the view.
Where's the display setting?